Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sophie Erber. Today was the day launching Phase 1B of Iowa's COVID-19 vaccine distribution, and appointments for the first 2 days of distribution filled up in less than an hour. We have the details on the distribution site and who gets access to the vaccine in this group in our top story at 5. Now, Phase 1B includes people over the age of 65, first responders like policemen and firefighters, child welfare, social workers, teachers, and school staff, early childhood education, and child care workers. This also includes any healthcare workers who have not gotten their vaccine as part of Phase 1A. So the first 2 rounds of Phase 1B vaccinations are set to be held on February 10th and February 12th. Again, those dates have already been filled up, so no more appointments are available at this time. Clinics will be held at the Tyson Event Center and other targeted work sites. Siouxland District Health says they have tentatively planned to hold additional clinics. These set for February 17th, the 24th, and March 3rd. Those dates are currently not open for appointments, and district health officials say there is no waiting list of any kind right now, but they will open up registration for those dates once they know how much vaccine they'll be given. Registration details will be on the Siouxland District Health site. Residents are being asked to please not call Siouxland District Health to be put on a list for vaccinations.
Then we just get phone call after phone call after phone call, and the doctor's offices get bombarded. We get bombarded, and it just is not productive for us right now. So we will plan on getting information out in numerous different ways for people to get signed up once it's their turn.
Additionally, doctors' offices will be sending information to their patients who are considered eligible, and it will include who to contact if you need help making an appointment online. Again, appointments are full for those first 2 vaccine distributions in Sioux City. And Siouxland District Health says that if you don't qualify for a vaccine during Phase 1B, please be patient. It could be late spring or early summer before the vaccine is available to the general public. And we currently have a vaccine portal under the Health tab on our website with all the details on how distribution is being implemented here in Siouxland. Just head to SiouxlandProud.com for the very latest updates. The Iowa Department of Public Health tonight has finally launched its new COVID-19 vaccine dashboard. It can be found on the state's COVID-19 website. The dashboard showing how many vaccines have since been administered throughout the state. It also breaks down those numbers by vaccine manufacturer, county, day, race, ethnicity, age, and whether or not it was a male or female recipient. As of this afternoon, more than 250,000 doses of the vaccine have been administered since December 14th. That includes more than 5,000 vaccines in Woodbury County alone. And many Iowa educators are in a rush to get their vaccine after Governor Kim Reynolds signed a bill set to require 100% in-person learning as an option. That bill going into effect officially February 15th. Schools will still offer hybrid and virtual learning options for families. Pre-K through 12th grade teachers and school staff are included in this distribution phase. And the director of the Iowa State Education Association says getting the vaccine in teachers' arms is a top priority.
We understand that there are counties here in Iowa working directly with school districts to help distribute the vaccine, but that doesn't seem to be happening in every county because of the lack of vaccines that are available. And so we certainly hope that the vaccines will become more available as we move on.
Teachers and school staff will need to set up an appointment for a COVID-19 vaccine drive-through through the health department's website. Let's take a quick look now at the latest COVID-19 numbers here in Siouxland. Woodbury County Health reporting just 3 new cases in 24 hours, so good news there. The county totals 197 deaths during the pandemic due to the state health department reporting a backlog of deaths. In Nebraska, Dakota County with 7 new positive tests today. The county has a 7-day positivity rate of less than 5%. And in South Dakota, Yankton County reports 88 active cases and a 4% average positivity rate for the past 7 days. The White House COVID-19 response team announces a new over-the-counter test that could soon be available to millions of Americans at home. Officials say the nasal swab is almost 100% accurate. Our Washington correspondent Jesse Chinur reports on the Biden administration's efforts to make this test widely available.
The country's first over-the-counter at-home COVID test.
The Biden administration says for about $30, millions of Americans can soon test themselves for COVID-19.
Making easier-to-use tests available to every American is a high priority with obvious benefits.
Andy Slavitt, the senior advisor to the White House COVID-19 response team, says the nasal swab is 95% accurate and produces results within 15 minutes for anyone 2 years and older, whether they have symptoms or not.
So they can safely go to work, to school, and to events.
Slavitt says the administration's $230 million deal with the Australian company will guarantee production ramps up to provide 8.5 million tests per month to the U.S. by the end of the year.
The unit costs will come down only when we can get to that mass production and scale.
That good news doesn't change the fact that January was the deadliest month of the pandemic in the U.S., with 90,000 deaths, and new variants of the virus continue to surge.
Variants remain a great concern, and we continue to detect them in the United States.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky confirms nearly 500 variant cases from the UK, South Africa, and Brazil have been found across the U.S. That's why Dr. Anthony Fauci urges Americans to trust the shot.
When the vaccine becomes available to you, please get vaccinated.
In Washington, I'm Jessie Tenor.
Well, COVID-19 has been both a blessing and a curse for local florists. With many people now opting to send flowers rather than attend some in-person and meaningful events, flower shops have been busy. And as the Day of Love approaches, florists and their suppliers are working harder than ever to get ready.
We're having trouble right now getting some flowers in and some colors. So our growers are not, they just can't keep up with the demand. So we want to get our order in early.
So placing an order well in advance, that's the advice that Siouxland shops are giving tonight. That can help guarantee you have flowers ready for that special someone on Valentine's Day. And it's time tonight for our first check on the weather. Meteorologist Marcus Beasley standing by. Marcus, after a slightly eventful weather weekend, things kind of mellowing out on this Monday, but still chilly.
That's right, chilly and cloudy out there today, Sophie, and we'll continue to see those cloudy skies throughout a lot of this work week, but today's chilly temperatures, nothing compared to what we're expected to see this weekend. It's going to get really cold, some of the coldest air of the winter season possible here this weekend, but today we got up to 28 degrees, which is slightly below average here in Sioux City, 28 in Wayne, 27 in Yankton and Lamar's, 28 in Cherokee, and 25 in Storm Lake. So pretty much everyone today in the mid to upper 20s. Overnight tonight, I expect temperatures to drop into the mid to upper teens. It does look like a cold night ahead, but again, some very, very cold temperatures are in the forecast. I'll have more details on that coming up in the 9 on 9 forecast. Sophie?
Thanks, Marcus. A bill introduced in the South Dakota House of Representatives tonight looking to give the state's attorney general the authority to review executive orders issued by the president. House Bill 1194 outlines a process of review for any presidential orders that have not yet been approved or signed into law by Congress. The Executive Council of the Legislative Research Board would review the order, followed by a referral from the council to the attorney general and then the governor. After that, the attorney general may examine the order to determine whether or not the state can seek an exemption or declare it unconstitutional. In Sioux City, officials have announced they plan to demolish the 2 water towers that sit at the top of Grandview Park, and usually that's exactly where the beer garden is when they have the Saturday in the Park event going on. So Dave Bernstein, co-producer of that event, says they will be discussing ways to work around that construction site so they can still have a good layout for patrons. And a Sioux Falls businessman is preparing to add his impressive collection of Super Bowl memorabilia. Terry Kraft has 33 autographed helmets from Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. He has one from each of the QBs. That includes Tom Brady, who's already won 6 titles with the Patriots, as we know. Kraft will add a second Brady helmet if he wins this year's championship as a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only quarterback he's currently missing tonight is Kansas City's Patrick Mahomes. And of course, every helmet has a story, including former Chicago QB Jim McMahon.
I wrote him a letter, asked him if he would be a part of the collection because he doesn't sign a ton of autographs either, and told him I would donate $500 to the charity of his choice if he signed the helmet. He wrote back about 6 months later and said, yeah, he would do it.
Kraft says he also has 2 Peyton Manning helmets, one from his time with the Colts, the other from his time with the Broncos. Well, a controversial congresswoman faces possible punishment over comments she made. This in connection to the riots at the Capitol earlier this year. We'll break down that situation for you coming up.
And we're seeing seasonal temperatures for the most part to start the week. We'll have a little bit of midweek moisture, maybe some rain, snow falling then, and sub-zero temps by the end of the week into the weekend, possibly. Details on that after the break.
You're watching KCAU 9 News with Sophie Erber and meteorologist Marcus Beasley. This is KCAU 9 News at 5.
Click on that, and that's where you can actually upload all of your weather pictures. Let us know your name, location of the picture, and some information about it, and we can share it here on KCAU 9 News.
Pretty cool. Weather photos are always interesting.
Yeah, and we get a lot in the winter time, so it's a great feature. Just go and upload it right there.
Very cool. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Well, high school yearbooks will definitely look different this year, like everything, because of COVID-19. We'll show you how one school found a creative way for kids to save their 2020 memories coming up in about 9 minutes. But first, lawmakers in D.C. looking at possibly punishing a controversial congresswoman. This over comments that she made in connection to the Capitol riots. That story coming up after the break. Democrats tonight say newly elected Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is dangerous. They say the Congresswoman incited the violence on the Capitol by propelling conspiracy theories and falsehoods. Now they're looking to punish her for those actions. Our Washington correspondent Alexandra Limon reports.
Democrats like Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz are looking for ways to punish Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has advocated for violence and made repeated racist, anti-Semitic, and Islamophobic comments.
A survivor of the Parkland shooting also shared a video he says shows Greene harassing him before she was elected.
You don't have anything to say for yourself? You can't defend your stance?
Florida Congressman Ted Deutsch represents Parkland and says Greene's claims that mass shootings are staged hurt victims.
I cannot imagine what it must feel like for the families of victims of gun violence across this country, or the survivors, to have someone take advantage of their loss by calling these tragedies false flag events.
California Congressman Jimmy Gomez introduced a resolution to eject Greene from Congress, but that would require 2/3 of the House to support it. Now Democrats are threatening to strip Greene of her committee assignments instead. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy's office says he plans to talk to Greene about her comments. Others, like Illinois Republican Adam Kinzinger, support committee removal.
I think a district has every right to put who they want there, but we have every right to take a stand and say you don't get a committee.
Congresswoman Greene defended herself on Twitter against what she called the D.C. swamp and fake news media. In Washington, Alexandra Limon.
With COVID-19, this school year has looked a lot different for students. One of those differences is the time-honored tradition of a high school yearbook. The story of how one school found a creative way to save this year's memories coming up.
Tonight on News Nation, blizzard-like conditions, a powerful winter storm hitting the Northeast. How this intense weather is hurting vaccination efforts. Plus, Republicans pitched their own stripped-down stimulus plan. Will Democrats take the offer or go it alone with President Biden's proposal? That's tonight on News Nation, starting at 8/7 Central on WGN America.
With school being remote for the majority of the year for American children and activities like dances on hold, yearbooks are getting a new look this year. Alex Padilla has the story of how one school found a creative solution to continue the school tradition.
Yearbook, we're supposed to document what goes on during the year, no matter what that is.
With an empty classroom and computer screen, Southeast High School's yearbook staff got to brainstorming.
A lot of the times we couldn't get pictures of classrooms and stuff. A lot of the stuff we had to rely on was teachers sending us stuff, students sending us stuff.
Remembering classes online with pages of profile pictures. The yearbook filled with new sections like the hottest item all students had.
People get really creative with their masks. Some people buy specific ones. Some people kind of design them themselves.
Content is one hurdle. The other, designing the yearbook while socially distanced.
We'd have to text back and forth about all these ideas and some issues that come up, and we'd have to hope that the other person could reply in time.
Program advisor Nathan Christner says yearbook is more than an elective.
You're basically running a small business. And so like a lot of small businesses during the pandemic, yearbooks are struggling.
Christner says sales are down by half from last year. Staff wanting that to change, to keep their program running and give students a memento for decades down the road.
They're going to want to show their kids, say, here's a picture of the mask I wore. This is what it was like. Here's some pictures of school when we were only allowed to have 5 or 6 people in a room. So it's a time capsule.
Let's take a quick live look outside right now before Marcus returns with one more check on our forecast. Don't go away. Before we wrap up here at 5, let's check in first with Tim for what's coming up at 6. Hi, Tim.
Hey, good Monday afternoon, Sophie. As you have reported, today marks the beginning of the Phase 1B rollout of the coronavirus vaccine here in Woodbury County. We'll break that down coming up at 6. Those people that are now eligible include those 65 years of age and older, firefighters, police officers, and child welfare social workers, as well as educators, a couple of other groups as well. In all, over 20,000 residents in Woodbury County are eligible, but will there be enough vaccine to fill the need? We'll take a look at that coming up at 6. And the National Football League concludes the season Sunday, and the Super Bowl is always one of the toughest tickets to get, not just in the game, but in all of sports. But somehow, 3 fans have found a way to get tickets to every single Super Bowl. Pretty amazing stuff. Jake has that as we get a report from Miami coming up tonight at 6. By the way, the Chiefs still about a 3-point favorite so far, Sophie. Have you got a favorite in the big game?
Well, living in Tampa all those years and graduating University of Tampa, I got to go with the Bucks. I mean, a little irritating that Tom Brady's at the helm because naturally I've hated the Patriots for so long. Sorry, New England fans, but I got to root for them. Plus, they haven't done well in a really long time, and the Chiefs just did. You?
Right. Neither one, really. I'm a Panthers fan, so neither one. But in the weather department, it's going to be chilly tonight. You might notice some fog out there, so be careful if you're out and about.
Thanks, Marcus, and thank you for joining us. We'll both see you back here at 6. Until then, have a great night.